My name is Ebens, as popularly known. I'm a writer, I'm a poet, I'm a humorist, as he said. I do puns. Most of you probably who are not literary inclined may not know puns, but I'll explain it later. And I'm also a postgraduate student at the University of Ghana, basically in my final year. And today I'll just be talking about my personal experience, my writing journey, and then certain things that can actually impact your life as well. I'll start with overcoming my fears, basically, and then I'll share a story this week, an experience I had this week. Actually, attained my driver's license 5 years ago, but then I can tell you I've driven like almost 3 cars in the space of those 5 years. Because one of my phobia has been driving or moving a vehicle, normally through a long distance. But then I overcame that fear this week, somewhere Tuesday, I was Tuesday, by driving from Tema Harbour to Dawenya. If you know Dawenya, is quite a distance. And then the next day from Dawenya to La Paz. And that was like one of my breakthroughs, seriously. Because doing that was like a challenge for me. I had to take the vehicle from the Tema Harbour. It belonged to my dad. It had been imported, and there was no one available to take the vehicle from the harbour to my place at Dawenya. And then every available driver he talked to every driver he talked to was not available. And I told myself, if I attain your driver's license for the past 5 years, driven only just 4 cars in just short distances, and then this is a long distance from the harbour to Dawenya, why don't you try this? So I told him, I'll do it. And he was doubtful, like, hey, this is a Benz I just bought and I don't want you to go and scratch it. It was already last year, 31st December. Yeah, last year, 31st December, I scratched one of his cars. I told him, he asked me to take something from the house, and I told him, yeah, I can drive, I'll take it, I'll take the car. He was like, okay, you can go. My mom was like, no. I've not even driven like 4 cars all my life in the space of 5 years. I was like, no, but I wanted to challenge myself. I took on that challenge, but then quite unfortunately, I scrapped it while taking a turn somewhere home. He got angry. My mom was like, I told you so. It actually brought my spirit down. Like, I mean, you can't drive. Your mom said that you couldn't do it. And then you proved it right. But then on Tuesday, I told myself, whatever comes, whether I'm going to scratch this Benz, he has his heart attached to this Benz. And whether he scratches, I want to do it. So I took it upon myself. He didn't tell my mom actually, because definitely she was going to doubt that. But I took it upon myself, went to the harbour. The GS and every input in there was quite different for me, but then I asked the reporter to show me, oh, you press it, you do this, okay, fine. And then I took the car, drove all the way from Tema, roundabout to Dawenya. And if you live around that area, you can attest to the fact that the traffic there is serious. You can easily scratch the car easily. I took the car, drove through the traffic, made some mistakes, had some drivers actually insulting me and all that. But then I told myself I had to do this. And I had my mom calling me like almost 10 times in the car, like, because my dad had told her I'm moving the car. It's like, I had her calling me almost 10 times. I would look at the phone and she's like, no, I want to concentrate and take the car home. I took it home, hopefully. And then the next day I had to take it back to La Paz to meet his driver who would take the car to Sweden. I was in the car when I saw my mom calling again. So later in the traffic, I stopped and then I picked the call. So why are you taking the car? And I'm like, slow down. You want me to be a driver, right? You wish I could drive. But then I can't become a driver when I am actually sitting down every day thinking, oh, yes, I've attained my driver's license. I'm not that perfect. And then I'm still sitting at that unperfect state. I can't grow from that state to a better state if I don't take upon myself the challenge to make mistakes, even if I had to scratch, even if I had to hit someone's bumper, even if I had to make mistakes on the motorway, which I did. A whole lot of drivers actually insulting me like, "Hey, are you a first driver?" I'm like, I don't care. I'm actually going to do this, and that is one thing that actually opened myself to actually take it upon myself. Like from now, if I'm going to have to drive on the motorway, it wouldn't be much of a scare because I've done it for the first time. But then, the first time doesn't make it more of a perfect state. Doing something for the first time doesn't make you perfect. I thought to myself that if I'm going to be perfect driving on the motorway, which I mean, driving on the motorway is one scary thing, like stories surrounding the motorway and itself. If I'm going to be perfect driving on the motorway, it wouldn't have to take me just one. Yeah, it would take one. It takes one to start. It takes one to get to two. But then that single one shouldn't be the story of success. Actually, I'm going to have to do it over and over and over again. It boils down to my writing journey. When I started writing as a writer and a poet, I got interested in writing when I first heard a spoken word from Muta Baruka. He's a Jamaican poet and activist. The title of the poem is This Poem. I listened to the poem and then I got inspired. I went on YouTube, searched for the video. It was a Def Jam Poetry Slam video. And then finding that single poem actually led me to a series of other poems from Sarah K, Shihan, Common, and all that. And that is what inspired me. And I bought 2 exercise books. I wrote on top of one spoken word poetry. And guess what I wrote on the other one? Comedy. Because basically I'm a fancy, and you know fancies are humorous like that. So I wrote on top of one poetry, the poetry one, and I began writing anything without structure, anything that comes to mind without structure. And then I told myself that I'm going to get on stage someday. So every day I was standing in the mirror trying to rehearse lines I've listened to from famous poets. And then when I got into university, 2011, Central University, I said, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to get on the stage for the first time. So I joined a literary group, and then they gave me a poem to rehearse for an upcoming program. And then during one of the rehearsals, I thought I had actually achieved it. Like, I mean, Charlie, filled up with so much power. I've listened to all these great poets. I mean, Muta Baruka, Common, and all that. I mean, I have it in me. So during one of the rehearsals, it was an all-night rehearsal. I stood on the stage, and then they asked me to do the piece. Immediately, I started with the first 3 lines. They was like, hey, stop. The director was like, who told you how to do poetry? Like, no, this is very bad. It actually got to me. Like, wow. I mean, I was all fired up and you could just quench the fire like that. It got to me. I left the group for 2 semesters. Because I felt, no, I had it in me. Why could you just off my fire like that? But then one thing I found was, me leaving the group for 2 semesters was my preparation stage. So within those 2 semesters I left the group, I found several Ghanaian poets. I was introduced to several Ghanaian poetry pages and poetry groups, which one of it is People of Equal Thoughts, POETS, People of Equal Thought in Spirit, poets. And that is where I got my first point of doing poetry on the radio. I was introduced by Rhyme Sonny, maybe some of you will know him. Rhyme Sonny, one of Ghana's renowned poets. And then he actually told me, if you want to do this, then you have to do it often. It's not a one-day wonder. It's not something you do just for a day. You get the praise here, you are good, and then that is it. So when I got on the radio and then I did my first poetry on the radio, I came back to campus and people who listen actually were like, dude, it was good, that was good, that was good. And then I rejoined the poetry group on campus, and you could see how everybody wanted me to go on stage. It was a huge task for me because the poetry group didn't have much people. But then they see you getting on the radio to do a poem, they thought, oh, he has the experience already. And it was a huge task for me. Like, I mean, people putting you in a cage or an expectation where you haven't actually putting yourself in that form. It's really a huge task. And then I took it upon myself, like, okay, if I'm going to have to do this, then let me learn from the one or two people in the group, and then do it constantly. So I began writing for them to actually critique it, and then out of the critiques, I got to learn my weakness, I got to learn my strength, I got to learn where I actually have to develop to become a better writer. So that was my breakthrough, getting myself out there to become a writer. I'm quite an introvert, basically, but then taking it upon myself to become a writer on campus was one challenge that I had to get out of my shell and then actually unveil myself to the public. And then in 2017, I had a personal experience, which I sort of putting it in a story or a series form. Before that, I used to write about a Trotsky moment. That was my first series, actually. That was my first ever story series, Trotsky moment. And then, which later, someone introduced me to Trotsky Diary, Trotsky Diaries. So, I had an experience, a personal experience, and I sort of putting it in a series form. I began with episode 1 to 7, which covered the experience itself. It was just one thing that actually ignited everything. So I make every single point or everything I realize as a grenade. I see everything like a grenade. So no matter how the scene is, no matter how small the scene is, I make it a point that single scene, make it like a seed. Grow it into your mind. Let it germinate. Let it bear fruit. Let it have branches. Let it have shades. And then from every single scene, let it have a link from a point that doesn't have any relation to that single point. And then let it grow beyond where you found it. And seriously, having people come to my inbox to tell me, did you read my mind? I'm like, no. Because this story is just like something I've experienced like months ago or I'm actually going through. And I'm like, no, I just went to a place, someone wanted to propose to a lady and she declined. And then I just created scenes from probably where they were dating, how they met and everything. And even the heartbreak series from where the lady declined the proposal. Like, because this, like, no, I just don't get it. I'm like, this is what I am experiencing. I'm like, no. Because each and every day, I try to open my mind. I try to make my point of realizing or getting stories like the sky, endless as it is, to get anything can actually inspire me. Just like how I write poetry. People, I normally attach pictures to my poems, and the people will be like, how did you get inspiration from this picture? Well, this is a falling leaf. A falling leaf is just a single thing falling. How do you get inspiration from it? But I'm like, you see it as a falling leaf. I see it as so many things. I see it as glory descending. I can see it as beauty descending. I can see it as a phase of life. I see it as so many things. I see it as death. I see it as so many things. So you may see it from a single point of view as just a leaf falling, but then I see so many ways. From that falling leaf, I can write so many stories or so many poems out of it. And this was achieved through consistency. The consistent writing, the consistent reading, the consistent availing myself to the point that I want to do this. I want to, and I have to actually do this. Because most often, when I write, it isn't for me. It's not all about me. I mostly tell people if I have to think about writing about, if my writing has to be about myself, I just write about 2 stories and maybe 5 poems. Just about it. But then, it's not all about me. I write about the depression when I'm not depressed. But then, someone out there is going through depression. I write about happiness even when I'm not happy. but then someone is happy out there, and this poem actually ignites the happiness in them. I read about so many things. I mean, last year, for instance, I wrote a poem about menstruation. I'm not a woman. I'm never going to menstruate in my life. But then I wrote the poem, and then a friend of mine, she's a lady, she sent it to another lady. She's Kenyan or something. And she sent an audio. She was like, oh my God, she wrote my mind. This is how I actually go through in my menstrual period. She's so good. She didn't know it was written by a guy. So my friend told her it was written by a guy. She was like, what? Like, this is... No, she just couldn't understand it. That a guy who would never menstruate in his life would actually write a poem about menstruation. I was like, yeah, it's not about me. It's not about my story. All what I write about is not all about my life story. If I have to write all about me, I'll just write about a few things, a few stories, a few poems, and then I'll be out of the way. But then I write about so many things. I write about a woman who just lost a baby. I've never had an experience with, I've never lost a baby before, but then putting my mind or putting myself in the shoes of people and then writing their stories has been one of the things that actually made me travel, like I would say travel into people's minds. We say reading actually is more of traveling into several places, but me putting myself into several people's minds and experiences is one of the traveling experiences for me as well. And becoming more of a writer grew up with me daring to be one. Because if I hadn't given myself that challenge to become a writer, I probably would still be writing and then keeping it in my bedroom. But then putting my works out there inspire people. People always like, on Facebook, they'll be like, why don't you publish a book? From 2017, I've had that consistent talk with people, from people telling me, why don't you publish a book? Why don't you publish a book? I'm like, I'm in a phase. I see myself as a growing writer from 2017. And then having people critique my works has been one of the things that have actually made me grow from 2017, from 2016 to now. Your stage one may seem beautiful to someone else, but then you will see it as a growing stage for you. If you dwell on people praising your stage one and then thinking, oh, I'm in stage 5 now, you may just begin to fly and realize that your wings are not even strong enough to fly. So from 2017, I challenge myself to read other people's works, to have people critique my works, to attend writing seminars and have people share their experience with me so that we also learn. And then this year, I gave it a thought and told my mentor that I want to write 2 books this year. It was like, yeah, Okrawache. Because I mean, if I'm to publish all the stories and the poems I've written for my writing journey, I'll probably be going all the way to probably 10 books for now. But then, me giving myself the challenge that this year I want to publish, I found out it didn't give me the challenge much to like, okay, no, so what am I going to publish about? Well, I've written so much that all I had to do, my mentor had to tell me is, so Okradi, you wouldn't have to write much because you have the write-ups. So all you have to do is pick the good ones, or pick the ones you want to publish, and then if there are editings you have to do, you just edit them, and then we just give it a shot. I started, or this dream, I believe would come to realization by the close of this year, not because I started writing this year, but I started writing somewhere or some years back, and then people actually pushed me to do more. And it would interesting to know after the 35 series episode story, every day, every now and then, anytime I begin a story, I have people coming into my inbox like, when is the next episode? When is the next episode? Yesterday I wrote a story, a series, the first episode, and then I ended it at a point where the suspense was very high. And everybody was like, oh, we need Yababu, another suspense. Like, it gives me much joy for people to come to the point to say, you are very good. But then one challenge I've actually fought myself with is keeping or managing the praise that people give me. I realize that the praise can be a push and the praise can be a cancer as well. If you dwell on the praise often, it can actually eat into you to the point that you realize that, okay, when I put a post out there, I'm getting like 200 likes, I'm getting 50 shares, I'm getting so many comments. So you may be shifted to the point that you don't look at the quality of what you're putting out there. You're just putting out anything. And then yes, at the first phase, you put out anything, people will like, because they believe your works are good. But then one thing you not realize is, at a point, they will not be looking at just anything you're putting out there. The quality of what you are putting out there is what they'll be looking at. If it's not quality, they're not going to like it. I want to give an example of one musician, but then it might raise a bit of controversy. So, but then, I mean, you know who I'm talking about. You know who I'm talking about. He puts out so many works out there, and then I'm not a fan of his. But then last year or this year, I realized he released an album, and the people who I know are fans of his were rather critiquing his work, the album. They were like, "Come on, this is not good. This is not the best of you. This is not the best of you." Why? I believe he thinks that he has gotten the market share. I mean, when they mention such a person, everybody is actually rooting for him. But then I feel like the praises actually got to him much. And then he thought like, I have the fan base. Let me just put it out there. They will like it. But then what you don't realize is at a point, your fans don't just look at what you put out there. They look at the quality. Nobody wants to throw their money to buy just anything. I mean, they love you for the points. You go, oh, like Ujimia, but at the point, no, wait there. You are exceeding the limits. Like, so one challenge I've actually I've been able to manage is managing the praise that I get out there, managing the praise that I receive on social media, basically. And this year I dared to monetize my art, not just putting it out there. Aside the book I want to publish, to monetize my art, not with social media alone, but then making people feel that they own the art for themselves. I mean, they can hold the book, they can hold your book, read it, and then feel it. But then, how about they wearing the poem? How about they wearing the piece? How about they wearing the quote? Basically. So I took it upon myself to monetize my art through the t-shirts. So this is a t-shirt with a poem, a short poem basically. So people would not just come to social media, come to your page, read the piece, and then, oh, yeah, it's nice, they comment and they go. But how about they actually wearing the art for themselves, wearing the pan for themselves, and then each and every day they can actually see these words, and then it will reflect into their minds. They don't need to have data before they can have access to your pieces. They don't need to have data, or they don't need to have a smartphone before they can have access to your works out there. Everywhere they go, anytime, they can actually wear your work, and then would actually preach, not just they wearing the work, but then even people who would see the work on their t-shirts would also appreciate your work out there. And then aside me driving from the Tamamoto, the harbor with the first story to Dawenya and La Paz, this is one of the the huge challenge of me starting this business that I've actually put upon myself. I've had this idea for the past 2 years. I've spoken to a whole lot of people on social media, and then they'll be like, yeah, I mean, start it. But then the fear of starting it, I mean, what ifs. I've had so many what ifs, like, what if it doesn't go well? What if people don't buy? What if people don't buy? What if it doesn't reach the market you want it to? So on my birthday this year, January 22nd, I was like, just like driving on the motorway, whatever happens, whether it works or it doesn't work, whether it's materialized or it gets to the market out there or it reaches the customers out there, I would actually start it. So I started with 290 cities for the first set of t-shirts, and then within 2 weeks, I had people actually requesting for it, like, yeah, I mean, I want to have a shit, I want to have it. I was like, okay, but then don't let the first phase get into your head. I mean, business is quite tricky. You could start it in the first phase or in the beginning, it could go well, and then at a point, just like starting from the with marketing, the phase of a product, the phases that a product goes through. But then, if it works, if it would work, it would require that I put in much more creative works, creative ideas, and then giving myself the challenge that this wouldn't end on just social media or me posting it on social media, like, hey, I'm selling t-shirts with these ideas on it or these poems on it. But then, even beyond social media, when I go to campus, how am I going to market my products to people? And then actually reach beyond social media so they can know the brand, that this is Ebenezer, this is a writer, this is a poet, this is a humorist, this is a panist, this is an artist. So yeah, before I leave, I'm selling t-shirts with so many inscriptions on it, different words, different designs. You can just see me and have yours. If you don't get yours, we're not leaving here. Thank you very much, and have a good day.